The name of this print is The Grave of Santa Anna's Leg. In 1838, General Santa Anna drove the French from Veracruz, and an errant cannonball relieved him of a leg. He had it embalmed and interred at his hacienda. When his fame took him to the presidency, he had it ensconced in Mexico City with great pomp. Santa Anna was president several times, each a disaster. At the end of one presidency, the irate mob that hastened his departure dug up the leg. It was lost to posterity, but gave birth to this print. This is a woodcut. A woodcut is the oldest of fine print mediums. It's called a relief print, which means that what you don't want to print, you cut away, and what is left in relief is what prints. The first block is going to be inked. Now this block, I'm going to ink with a lot of ink on the roller, rather heavily inked, and not rolled out very much, because I want the ink surface as it prints to be uneven. Now, since I'm putting the paper on a wet block, it has to go down right the first time. I can't move it once it's printed. Here's the block that has been cut. I've darkened the edges just with a little bit of ink so that I can see it through the paper being thin and translucent. And I can vaguely see the line of the image that I want. Now here, where I want to differentiate the calf of the leg, I do it just by a little more pressure with the roller. And the next block will be the blue area around the side. This is actually cut on the reverse side of a piece of pine plywood. And consequently, the pine is not as finely sanded as the front side would be. And so I tend to get a little texture of the wood. Now here you see those holes are cut out of the block underneath. And since there's no resistance there to the roller, why the ink doesn't take. I could print it as I have and keep the moon perfectly clear, but I want a kind of a half-tone over it. So to do that, I roll a little more ink on the roller, and then lightly roll over it like that, and it's what's called false printing. It's false in the sense that there isn't a block underneath it to make it happen, but I've induced it by adjusting the amount of ink on the roller to the stiffness of the paper, picking up a little bit of that. You could do it over some of the stars to get a slight halftone. Now I'm going to spray it with print with mineral spirits, paint thinner, and that will dissolve the inks and essentially change them into dyes. So instead of being ink that's sitting on top of the paper, it becomes dyed fibers of paper. So I'm turning it over because the front of the paper will print from these blocks here. Then I can pull the paper back and now ink all these pieces. I'm scraping ink off the block so that it won't print, so that there'll be a white line in the middle of the green when it prints. Okay. Now I'm going to ink the back of the tombstone there, and I have no block for it, but the back of the block that this image was printed from is underneath, so I'm just going to roll a sepia-colored ink over the whole area and run over the edges just a trifle, so that when it's viewed from the other side, there'll be a kind of an outline. We'll pull it off this way. That's all, folks.